Babe, are you almost done down there? We have to go.
Yeah, I'm just starting to print.
What are you doing?
How'd you get down here so quick? You were just upstairs.
I'm your wife. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, that checks out.
Why are you starting to print when we have to leave?
Well, I can be everywhere too, with OctoEverywhere. OctoEverywhere is a plugin that we can download and install onto our 3D printer so we can control and access it from anywhere in the world. Not only that, it will continuously monitor our prints for us and notify us if it detects a failure. This way we can cancel the print, saving time and filament. All that and its greatest feature, the price. It's completely free. Want to find out more?
Who are you talking to?
No one. And here we go. Folks, welcome to the channel. I am Leo of Prince Leo 3D. Thank you so much for joining me on another video where today we will be looking at a 3D printing service named OctoEverywhere. Right away, the name tends to scare some people away because they believe OctoEverywhere only works with OctoPrint. That is not the case. OctoEverywhere does work with OctoPrint, but importantly for us in this video, it also works with any 3D printer that is running Klipper firmware. And in today's video, we're going to go over just how to install this on your 3D printer that is equipped with Klipper software. So the first question should be, what is OctoEverywhere and why do I want it? OctoEverywhere is free third-party software that we can install onto our 3D printer to give it a few more features while we are 3D printing. Now there is a ton of things OctoEverywhere can do, and I suggest you go to the website to check them all out, but there are three main things we're going to talk about in today's video. First is access. Our 3D printers that are equipped with Klipper have access wherever we are on the same network. So my 3D printers are in my house, they're connected to my home network. While I am home, I can control my printers however I want by going to the dedicated Klipper webpage for each individual printer. I can start prints, I can stop prints, and I can monitor them over the webcam through that dedicated web page. However, when I leave the network that my 3D printers are connected to, when I leave my house, an example, I lose all control and all ability to see what my 3D printers are doing. So if I go to work, if I go to a restaurant, if I leave the house for any reason, I no longer can control my 3D prints. And often enough, I will start a print and go to work, and I have no idea what is happening while I'm not at home. What OctoEverywhere does, like the name might suggest, is give us access to our 3D printers anywhere and everywhere. So we can now enjoy the same Klipper webpage, whether we are on our home network or we are out traveling, we might be at work, maybe you're at a dinner party and you have an important print that you want to watch. You can now do that by using OctoEverywhere. You can start prints, you can stop prints, you can slice them and send them to this printer if you have your laptop or computer with you. And most importantly, you can monitor them with your webcam. So you can see if a print is printing properly, and if it is not, you can cancel the print. Now this saves you not only time, but filament as well. You're not going to waste all this unnecessary filament on a print that's not going to succeed. And you're not going to have to come back and clear a clogged nozzle because erroneous filament has extruded while the print was failing. So that is point one, access everywhere. We're not up 24 hours a day. We can't always be watching our 3D printer through OctoEverywhere. And that is point number two of what OctoEverywhere offers us. AI print failure detection. That means by using the webcam that you can set up through Klipper, OctoEverywhere will continuously monitor your print. And if it notices anything is going wrong, it will notify you. Now there's a few different ways to get notified. Email is one, text message is another, but it will let you know that something is going wrong so you can jump onto OctoEverywhere and you can get a live feed of exactly what it is detecting. Now not only can we watch and control our 3D prints while we are away from our home network, we are getting a free AI assistant that is going to look over our prints like a watchdog and let us know if anything is wrong. I've been using this service for over a year now, and I have to say, the print failure detection is amazing. There has not been one failure in the last 8 months or so that it erroneously detected. Every time it sent me a notification, the print absolutely was failing. Now, the only failures this tends to not see is when there is some sort of nozzle clog or there is no extrusion coming from the nozzle. OctoEverywhere tends to not pick that up in my experience. But if your print has come off the bed, or if there is layer skipping, OctoEverywhere will most likely figure that out, send you a notification, and you can stop that print. It is really such an amazing feature. And there is one more point to talk about, number 3, and that is the price of this service. And it is completely free. That is right. Go to the website, create a profile, and you will get access to all of these base tools. While it is free, there's also a subscription plan for this service. The paid options generally give you more of the great things you want over a longer period of time. That being said, if you still do not want to pay anything for this service, you will still get access and control of your 3D printer from anywhere. You can still view it on a webcam, and you will still receive notifications from that AI print failure detection. For today's video, we're going to be installing OctoEverywhere on 2 separate 3D printers, both equipped with Klipper firmware. One is this Kingroon KLP1 sitting right next to me. This is the larger 230 by 230 millimeter version. And the other is the Qidi Q1 Pro, which is a 3D printer I reviewed a few months ago. Both of these 3D printers came equipped out of the factory with Klipper firmware, which is great to see. That means more companies are taking advantage of the amazing features that Klipper offers. And we're going to see today exactly how simple or how difficult it may be to get OctoEverywhere onto a Klipperized 3D printer that we didn't necessarily install. So we're going to go through all of that. And if these printers that I show here aren't exactly what you own, these same steps that I use today and the same website I use is going to be extremely beneficial to you. Of course, the OctoEverywhere link will be down in the description, as well as any other necessary bits of information that are comprised within this video. And also, OctoEverywhere is running sales for the paid versions of this software all the time. If and when one of those sales becomes available to the Prince Leo 3D family, I am going to leave it in the description of this video. So if you are interested in subscribing to the paid for options to get a little more use out of OctoEverywhere, check the description before you do so. You might save a little bit of money. This installation is going to mostly take place on a computer. So if you have a laptop or your desktop, let's jump onto it now and begin the installation of OctoEverywhere. This installation takes place at OctoEverywhere.com. So we want to open up whatever browser we're using and navigate there. We also want to make sure that our printer is powered on and connected to the same network we are on with our computer. From the home page, we're going to click the login or sign up button. And if you've never logged in before, you're going to be asked to create a new login ID. And you create this the same way you create any other login you would on the internet, by providing an email and creating a password, or you can choose to sign up with a Google or Apple account. And once we have created an account, we are brought to the control panel where we can now begin adding our 3D printers. To do that, I'm going to go to the section that says control panel and click the add a printer button. From here, we are brought to a new page where we will choose how we will install OctoEverywhere based on the firmware that we have. Our 3D printer is running Klipper firmware, so we will select the second option. Now, one note, Octo Klipper is the first option. That would be if you are running Klipper and your front end is Octoprint. I don't recommend that setup, but if you are using it, that is the button for you. We select the second button. From here, the installation will begin. This page is telling us we need to SSH into our 3D printer as a form of wireless communication. And then once we have done that, we are going to run a single line command. Let's copy this one line command right now so we can use it later. In order to perform this, we need some sort of software that can SSH or communicate with our 3D printer. I am using free software called Putty, P-U-T-T-Y. I input the IP address of my 3D printer, and then I log in using the username and ID that would have been set up while you installed Klipper. If this is a third-party installed Klipper, like it is for this Qidi Q1 Pro, you will need to look at the documentation or the manufacturer's website to get those credentials. Once we are at the command line, we can now paste in that single line command that we obtained from the OctoEverywhere website. And you'll notice when I did it, nothing happened. Back on the OctoEverywhere website, we can see there are 2 options for troubleshooting. And the one I'm interested in is command not working. Click the link next to it and it will bring us to yet another page that will attempt to troubleshoot our issue. The error this specific page is correcting is the wrong time and date associated with the 3D printer's mainboard. And this is very prevalent in aftermarket installed Klipper-based 3D printers. From the troubleshooting page, I'm going to copy the top line, head back to our SSH terminal, and paste it in. You'll likely be asked for a password. And once that command runs, it will update your main board with the correct time and date, we can now go back and run our initial command line code, and this time you'll find it begins to install. Installation will take a few minutes while it downloads all the necessary files. The end of the installation should look just like this, where the command line is asking for a web address. On that line, you're going to input the IP address that you are accessing your Klipper web page with. For me, I went to the web page, I copied the IP address, and then I pasted it in the bottom. Hit enter, and it will double check that this is the web address you want to use. Enter the letter Y if it is, and hit enter one more time. And this will create your OctoEverywhere service for this printer. We are now finished, and we are left with two things: a link to the OctoEverywhere website and a code for this 3D printer. First, copy the link to the OctoEverywhere website. Open up a web browser, and you can paste that link in. Go back to your SSH terminal, and now copy the code that was given and enter that into the code box. That is it. We are now ready to go. OctoEverywhere is going to ask us to name this printer, and that's for our own clarification. While we are looking at the control panel, it's easier to decipher which printer is which based on what you've named them. And once you are finished, click the Finish Setup button. OctoEverywhere is going to give you one last chance to sign up to become a supporter by paying for the service. But right now, I would highly recommend using the free service and seeing if this is something you really want. Now when I am brought to the control panel, I can see each individual 3D printer that is connected to my OctoEverywhere service. The one we just named Qidi Q1 Pro is all the way to the left. And right here, I am viewing a live stream of the webcam that is within that 3D printer. So at a glance, I can see exactly what is going on. Now what I'd like to do is set up the Kingroon KLP1 with OctoEverywhere. However, I only have a free subscription. You can see I am at the max amount of printers, that is 3. So I need to remove one so I can add my Kingroon. To do that, I'm going to go to this icon in the top right, which is the general settings. I will choose one to remove. Right now, my IKEA Marrow is getting used the least, so I will choose to remove that. We have removed one printer. We only have 2 available to us, so we are allowed to add one under this free membership, and we'll do that now for the Kingroon KLP1. Now I'd like to take a minute to thank today's video sponsors, PCBWay. If you are starting a DIY electronics project, PCBWay should be one of the first places you stop to check out their wares. They offer an instant quote system and fast turnaround time. PCBWay can also handle all of your additive manufacturing services. And while for us 3D printing enthusiasts that may seem redundant, think about the parts that you've modeled and printed on your 3D printer that may find a more permanent home if they were fashioned from metal. PCBWay has those capabilities, and it's worth checking out. So for whatever your project, check out PCBWay today. Now on to the Kingroon KLP1, and because we're pros at this now, we're probably going to move a little faster through this part of the tutorial. Now this time when we open up OctoEverywhere.com, we log in and we are brought to our control panel, and this is now where we will add our printers from. So I click the Add Printer button. The KLP1 has Klipper installed, so I'm going to click the Klipper option. And now I'm going to copy and paste this command, copy it. Open up my SSH terminal, type in the IP address I'm using for this printer. I'm going to input the login ID and the password. This is the same as the Qidi. This is a MakerBase mainboard. Once I'm at the command line, I'm going to right click to paste in the command, hit enter. Oh, it looks like it's actually going to work this time. I'm going to re-input the password, hopefully correctly, and there we go. OctoEverywhere paused our install, and a new screen has come up which is separate from the Qidi Q1 Pro. Let's take a look. It says the following web interfaces were discovered, and there are 2 separate ports for Fluid and Mainsail. That is because this Kingroon KLP1 comes equipped with 2 different front ends. If I was to open up the web address for the Kingroon KLP1, you will see I am on .193, and this is the Fluid front end system. However, if the company or if you yourself add another front end, it will be on a different port. It is the same IP address, but the port is not 80, which is what this defaults to. It is 81. So if we put the same IP address and then we change the port to 81, we are now brought to the Mainsail front end. Kingroon is giving us the option as to which front end we want to use, and whatever one you want to use is up to you. I have been dabbling in Mainsail recently, although I am a consistent Fluid user. So now we get to decide, back on our SSH terminal, which interface do we want to use for OctoEverywhere? Because I'm trying to learn a little bit more mainsail, I'm going to pick the mainsail option. So the mainsail option is 2. I input the number 2 and then hit enter, and the OctoEverywhere install will complete only a few seconds later, and we are all finished. Now, one thing I want to note, this install took a little longer than the Qidi Q1 Pro as far as downloading and installing those files. If for some reason it feels like while you are doing it on the Kingroon, it gets hung up, just wait a few minutes, give it time, and it should continue going. The Qidi Q1 Pro took about 3 minutes to install, while the Kingroon KLP1 took closer to 5 minutes on my connection speed and my proximity to these printers. So now we're going to do the same thing we did last time. Go to the OctoEverywhere code website, open up a new web page, paste it in. Of course, it's probably in the history of your web browser. Go back to the SSH, 332.007. 332.007. And here we have it. We have now installed OctoEverywhere on the KLP1. It was that quick. We're going to call this Kingroon KLP1. Finish setup. And here at the control panel, we can see the Kingroon KLP1 has been added. Now, I just installed this new camera about 30 seconds before I filmed this, so it's not in the correct vantage point, but you can see the camera is operational, it is functional. It's actually looking at one of the linear rails. So a very quick cruise around the control panel. If we were to add another printer, we'd need to be a subscribing member because we only get 3 free. You would click this button. If we wanted to check out what apps are compatible with OctoEverywhere, we click the apps button and we can see from here. If we want to adjust any of the AI print detection functions, this is the button we go under. If we were a subscribing member, we could choose to have this pause a print if it detects an issue. If you want to send a live link to your webcam stream, create a live link button is where you want to go. It will produce a code and you can send that to anyone in the world that you can see a secure live view of what you are printing. And then if we want to adjust the notifications we get when a print failure happens or a print completes, this is the menu we go to. Email is open to everyone for free. And if you're a paid member, you can get SMS text messaging services for your notifications. For more general settings, the icon in the top right will show you what you can do with your printers as far as renaming them or removing them. And you can change some other settings right from here. If you wanted to become a paid member or if you wanted to see what you get for those options, you can also do that right from here. And these are the different tiers of OctoEverywhere access that we get based on what you want to pay per month. And besides all the options we have on the bottom, we can access these 3D printers individually. If I wanted to jump directly to their front end, I would find which printer I wanted to go to and hit the connect button. This will bring us immediately to the front end of our choosing. And you have all the same options from this front end as if you were logged on to the home network. This quick view tab will just give us a brief overview of what is happening with our 3D printer. You get a live stream from your camera, the status of the print, as well as some hot end and bed thermal information. And again, from here, if you wanted to jump to the direct front end, go to Klipper button will do that for us. So if we are in Zimbabwe and our 3D printer is in New York and I needed to start a print or cancel a print or do something, I could use OctoEverywhere, jump on the direct front end right here, and have the same access to my 3D printer as I would if I was in the same room as it. Really awesome stuff. That is 2 different Klipper 3D printers that we've installed OctoEverywhere on. It was really simple. It was very easy. As you can tell, the Kingroon was even easier. And now we are ready to go. Our 3D printers are being monitored for us by the AI print detection, and we can access them from anywhere. And that is that. We have now installed OctoEverywhere on our 3D printers. We can now print everything, anytime, all at once, however you want to do it, and you can feel safe that your 3D printer is being monitored, and if anything does arise, any issues, you will be notified. One thing I want to cover is safety. Obviously, OctoEverywhere gives us the opportunity to print while we're not at home. We still want to make sure we have all the safety features implemented so we can print at home safely. Things you may want to consider are some sort of fire retardant system. You are not going to be home if something catastrophic happens to this 3D printer while it's operating, as well as the ability to completely kill the electric going to this 3D printer. So definitely do your due diligence on safety if you are going to consider 3D printing while you are not home. Now let's talk about security. The ability to access our 3D printer from anywhere means, of course, there may be some security vulnerabilities. If someone else can access our 3D printer, they can cause all types of havoc for us by messing with the thermals, canceling prints, or doing other stuff that we might not even consider. The security that OctoEverywhere uses is explained to me as the same security that your online banking uses. The creator of this service, Quinn, explains in detail all of the security features that OctoEverywhere implements. I'm going to share a link in the description where you can read up all about the security that OctoEverywhere implements. The only access that OctoEverywhere provides is direct access to our 3D printer. So your home network, your work network should be perfectly safe under the umbrella that OctoEverywhere provides. But again, I'm leaving some information down in the description for further reading where Quinn explains it in much better terms than I ever could. Now, this is not the only service that allows such features, access from everywhere and print monitoring. There is another service called Obico. Now, I've never used it. I think I actually maybe used it back when it was called Spaghetti Detective, back a few years ago on my Octoprint setup. But the idea is that it works very similar to OctoEverywhere. It's just a different style and a different team behind it. So if for some reason OctoEverywhere is not working for you, if you don't like it, try Obico, give that a shot. I haven't used it yet. I may start using it on some of my 3D printers so I can kind of give a yin and yang video to this to just try and cover as many bases as we can. I want to thank you for getting this far in the video. If you've watched, if you have any issues trying to install OctoEverywhere, or if you have problems with the installation once it's up and running, please leave a comment below. Questions, leave them down there. If you don't like what I'm saying, if I'm saying too much, everyone says I'm very verbose. I apologize. I try and edit these as quickly and as succinctly as I can, but I just cannot help myself. Leave a comment below. I appreciate it either way. Join the Discord if you haven't. I am a small P in the Discord pod at this point. There are so many smart, useful, and educated users on there that once you go there, you're going to find out that the community grows as a whole and everyone's helping each other. You can see prints. You can ask about print failures or issues you're having with your 3D printer. I guarantee you're going to get some very educated responses, and you're going to be thankful that you did join. So please join the Discord. There'll be a link in the description. To all my Patreon members, people who've contributed to the channel that way, I thank you so much. I really appreciate it. More videos coming, of course. I want to do a nozzles video, a max speeds and Excel video. Those are kind of my Klipper videos coming out. We have a few of the first 48 hours videos coming, which is where I unbox and print with the 3D printer for the first few days, give you an idea what it might look like. I just did this Kingroon KLP1. I have the Two Trees SK1. I just unboxed a Bamboo Labs A1 Mini with the AMS for some multicolor stuff. Really cool stuff. So I'm excited to be releasing those. So I hope you all appreciate that. I hope you all enjoy those. That's really what this is all about. Trying to make content that people want to see and everyone will hopefully enjoy or get educated from. And now, as always, until next time, boys, girls, everybody else, keep on printing.